Hi, Susan. Hi, Steve.
Hi, sorry, I couldn't unmute.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Chad. Oh, he's still connecting. Trina. Hi, Chad. What else do we got? Al.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Alejandra.
Hi, Steve.
And Mariana. All right. How's everybody doing today? Yeah. Okay, let's talk about some self-assurance today. All right, I need to minimize this. Okay, so you guys can see that we are going to talk about one of the most rare strengths, self-assurance today. It is only found in a person's top 5 strengths 5% of the time. So what that means is that this particular person with this particular strength can feel misunderstood, at certain times. And so it's really important for us to really try to get a grasp on how these people think, their perspective, where they're coming from, and how that can contribute, because it is so unique, to what we're doing. Do we have any self-assurance people on the call today?
It's my number 4.
Okay, wow. I didn't remember that. All right, anybody else? Okay, so you can see there's 4 different categories that we typically think about the strengths in, and self-assurance falls into the influential zone. When someone is naturally confident and puts off sort of you can say a what's that called when you have that thing around you? Is it aura? They have an aura of confidence. We tend to follow them naturally as humans. When someone's confident about what they're saying or what they're doing, we tend to go, oh, that person knows what direction we need to go or what we need to do here, so let's just do that. I feel like it falls into 2 of these zones. I feel like not only does it fall into the creative zone here, but it also falls into the directive zone. I feel like it splits the 2 because they're very good at making decisions, setting direction, but they also think very creatively. When you are very confident and you're not worried about all the opinions of others and all the feedback coming in, you can think outside the box and not worry about, whether that's strange or eccentric or different. You can say, well, look, this is how I think it would work best, no matter what the rest of society does. All right, so here are the traits. I'm gonna move this Zoom stuff around just a little bit, guys, just a sec. Okay, so people with self-assurance possess an inner compass that makes them very confident in their abilities, decisions, and life choices. Like we just said, they usually have a unique, distinct perspective to provide. And they are at their best when they are in leadership positions or, like startup ventures, as either the entrepreneur or at least playing a part in that entrepreneurship. They feel very certain that they know the right decision. And this just comes from an inner core, I feel like I know what's right. What's interesting to watch them is when they speak like, I know exactly what I'm talking about. This is it. This is what we need to be doing. And then if they get another piece of information in that kind of changes that a bit, they just immediately become reconfident in what they're saying. They don't worry too much about what they just said, but rather, no, this is the new truth. So this is it. And this is what we need to do. And this is where we need to go. They're highly influential, so they're great in sales. And they have this, so when you want to have confidence, there's also this natural need or desire to provide security or to feel secure and confident and in control. And so when they flip that to where they start providing what they have to offer to others, they also can help others feel a lot more confident and secure. And so it's been interesting to also watch, some of these professionals gravitate towards, let's say, a cybersecurity realm, because that's one way of providing security as well, which is kind of a natural tendency of their personality, is to provide that security for themselves and for others. You cannot tell this person what to think or what to do. This is the type of person that says, I'm going to decide for me what I want and what's right for my life. You can provide them with tools and information and give them data, but they are essentially going to be the one to say, yes, thank you for all of your input, but this is what I think we need to do. They do have the ability to withstand pressure, work long hours, and then stay the course. They don't get pulled away from what they're trying to do easily, and they really don't get persuaded easily. If you're trying to influence or persuade them, that's probably not going to work with them. Okay, they're very independent. Thoughts, questions?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, you're right.
Tell us more.
I think I as when you have self-assurance, I have a daughter that says, Mom, why don't you ever care what people think? And
Yes.
I'm like, what? I mean, I do, but it's different. And I'm not one on social media, which I would be bad at it because I wouldn't care what people think. So I don't know. It's very interesting, but I think understanding that people aren't this way makes it a little difficult, because you're like, well, just do it, just go, and then they don't move, and you're like, why aren't you moving?
Yeah.
So I do find that to go in there, and I think it was interesting. You said, I'm going to decide for me and for my life, and it's all good. Yeah, thanks, but ideally, I've already made up my mind, earlier. But again, you're right. I think if there's a new concept that comes in, okay, hold on, and they easily shifts. Like, I don't care that I was wrong. I'm just going to keep going, or I don't care that I wasn't completely with everything. I'm okay with that. Sorry, my bad. Whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't really affect me. So.
and I have found,
We think we know it's the right decision. It might not be, but boy, we think it.
yes, and I have found that, you know, if you all of a sudden get rocked and you don't feel confident, you quickly go and get whatever it is that you need to feel confident. So that can be, you know, the information, the knowledge, a person, the expertise, whatever it is, but you're going to go get that real quickly so you can get back to a place of confidence.
I think you're right. I think I always just ask. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm confident enough to go in there and say, I don't know, so let me go ask. And I work with a lot of high school students, and they don't want to be wrong. Like, they don't want to ask. I'm like, just ask me. I'm right here.
Yeah, and that comes from other strengths, right? Other strengths that have a perfectionist attribute to them, where, you know, they really don't want to, you know, feel like people think of them as stupid, right? Or not having knowledge, for example. Where for whatever reason, the self-assurance trait just doesn't have that issue. One question I get about self-assurance frequently is, well, are they arrogant? Right? They sound arrogant. They sound like they're independent and they just do things by themselves. They don't need anybody else, and they're arrogant. I've seen it both ways, right? I've seen it where self-assurance is very arrogant, and I've seen it where self-assurance is the most amazing, wonderful person that instills confidence in the teams and the people, and you know, makes really good decisions and brings really good perspective. So I've seen both. So I bring that up because, just like any other strength that we've ever talked about, it's not about the strength itself, it's about what someone is doing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're offering, and the impact that they're having with the abilities that they have. So I just want to make that clear to everyone that's on the call. Okay, let's go to the next slide. When self-assurance is paired with the following strengths, and we have one more on the next page, so strategic as well, okay? It's intensified, and there's specific reasons why it's intensified. So if self-assurance is paired with belief, it's intensified because belief has its own internal compass too. It's just more of this is what's right from an ethics standpoint, or what we should be doing for others, where, you know, the self-assurance is just an internal compass. I know what's right. So when you have those two paired together, then it's going to be intensified. Now, they're not frequently paired together that way. You don't naturally see self-assurance with belief. I kind of did a little poll in my database this morning to go, okay, how often are we seeing self-assurance with other strengths? And I just don't have enough self-assurance people in there to even be able to really see it. But, you know, for example, self-assurance and strategic are paired together frequently. So I saw many of those where, like, something like self-assurance and deliberative, I only found one person in my whole database that has that combination in their top 5. Self-assurance and command, they both know exactly which direction to go, what they want to do, how to take the reins, lead the way. So if you get a self-assured commander, that's strong personality. If you get someone with deliberative and self-assurance, which is not a normal pairing, you're going to get someone that really makes great decisions. They can make intuitive decisions on the spot, and they can also go behind the scenes and think about it and make good decisions because they've analyzed it. Self-assurance has an internal compass that guides them what's right, where responsibility has an ethical compass that tells him or her what the right thing to do is. So again, just like belief, if self-assurance is paired with responsibility, it's intensified. And then self-assurance withstands high pressure really well, and significance thrives in a work environment where the work is visible, it's highly impactful, all eyes are on it. So when you have a self-assured significance, then you're also doing some pretty extravagant things where everyone is watching and performing well in those moments. And of course, you know, if self-assurance is a guide and strategic is set in direction, then if those are paired together, they're also intensive. Anybody have these combinations on the call?
I have belief 6 and responsibility 7.
Okay. So do you feel that your self-assurance really helps, you know, drive what direction that you decide to go in based on your ethics and your beliefs.
Oh, definitely. I would definitely be.
Is there a time, Mariana, where you're like, I mean, just stubborn, right? Like we have to do this, like, and you can't let go of that.
I think, yeah, I mean, I would say probably all the time, but I think on leadership, if I'm not leading it, then I've learned to just pull back and say that, you know, it's not ready. But if I'm leading
Gotcha.
it, we're moving. We're, you know, and if it doesn't show up, then it'll keep crawling up. And sometimes I'll even go try to find the place I can do it. You know what I mean? Like, because there's that need, whatever
Right, right.
that need is. I'm like, it's an itch, and I gotta.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I think it's such an important point to make for everybody on the call, is that if you have a self-assurance person and you don't let them lead, they become disengaged real quick. Right? If you have
we'll go find a place that wants it. I mean, again, going to find out, okay, well, this is such, I think this could really work. And again, I think it being with belief, it's always been like, I do a lot with children's ministry. And if it's something that's going to benefit a child or family that we feel it could work, I mean, that's worth the investment to go in there and push. You know what I mean? Yes. So yeah, we are a little pushy. Yeah. So maybe a lot pushy, but. And responsibility helps because we've already organized it in our head. So it makes it more self-assured. Ask me a question, I'll have an answer for you.
Sure. Yep. You can see that self-assurance is paired with strategic 30% of the time. And then it's never, you hardly ever see it paired with something like developer and empathy.
I have empathy 34.
Okay, point proven. Okay.
I have a quick question, and this is, and I apologize, I don't get to join these very often.
Hi, Rebecca. No, it's great to have you.
When you say paired with, where you have self-assurance with strategic, I don't understand that, because I just have a list of 34 traits that. Yeah. So what do you mean by paired with?
What position is your self-assurance and your strategic on your list?
So strategic is number 3, self-assurance is 10.
Okay, so when I talk about pairings, I'm talking about within the top 5. So yours are pretty close by, which is normal, okay? But when I state this data up here of 36%, your self-assurance would have had to been number 1, 2, 4, or 5.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. So again, I've listed, you know, the same types of strengths that are intensified, just because if self-assurance is bringing a certain, you know, perspective of how we're going to set direction or what decisions we're going to make, and then you've got other strengths that are also doing that, and they happen to, you know, be driving towards the same purpose, they could get along really, really well. Vice versa, these strengths could butt heads, right? Because they're so strong. If, you know, one believes one thing and the other believes something else, and they're both pushing hard, you know, then you could actually butt heads. So it's really quite circumstantial when you have somebody that is as strong as self-assurance, which strengths they get along with at what point and in what scenario. But like, I have seen it in action, like self-assurance and a strategic person getting along great because they feed off of each other. But that was at a company where it was 2 executives trying to help drive the company in a particular direction. You know, one of the things where you're going to see a clash for self-assurance is somebody who's really indecisive, like an intellect, who's looking at all the different perspectives and just exploring them and not making a decision, or somebody who's very nurturing and, you know, hand-holding and, you know, wanting to be there by your side the whole time. You know, the self-assurance is going to find that person a bit clingy, because the self-assurance is just has a huge need for independence, doing it themselves. They just don't need all of that nurturing and hand-holding. Okay. All right. So if they're not in a high pressure environment, they're actually not at their best. Again, when they're suffocated or nurtured, when they're not getting to set direction, when they're not able to take risks, when someone's trying to influence them, you're going to start to see them react, and it's not a healthy environment for them. Does anyone else have anything to add as to like when they've just had a terrible experience as a self-assurance person? Okay. They're at their best when they're leading, taking risks, setting direction, the pressure is on, they get to overcome big challenges. They're in a startup or entrepreneurial setting where it's a new business adventure. Definitely when they're getting to sell and influence and persuade others. What kind of environment might produce this? Can anybody think of like a job or a role or something that would require all of these things or a lot of these things, somewhere where you have to make a lot of decisions?
Project manager.
Yeah, I think project management is probably a little too detailed for self-assurance unless they have a lot of other detailed strengths. Because project management, when you say straight up project management, that can get kind of tedious, right? You're just checking up and following up and making sure all the timelines are hit. Where program management would be a little bit bigger, broader, bigger picture. And I think self-assurance operates better on the bigger picture scale.
You be thinking about entrepreneur then?
That took it right out of my mouth. Entrepreneurship.
Yes, because they have to like set the whole direction for the whole endeavor. Yeah.
You get credit, Chad. Don't worry.
And
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say like sales.
yeah, yep, because that's independent, right? You get to kind of determine your own fate, and it's got the high influence. And like, I would ask a self-assured person to go start an entire new department, right? Or an arm of a business. I'd say, go lead this.
I would
Okay.
say that's where I thrive. I just started a new program for our school district where community members can invest funds to support our staff, especially right now where our staff is for our schools. And I mean, we have money rolling in, and it was from beginning to end, and it was such a thriving type of experience on it. And I'm in the PR and marketing department, so the influencing piece there is already there. It's for people, it's for teachers, it's for children. That whole belief as well comes in. So
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm glad you said program management, because I thought about project management, but there's just a piece of project management that I just don't.
Yeah.
You know, get the little details. I could get something going,
right.
Details. It's just.
Yeah, you don't want to operate it.
And I have to commit with people all the time, and that's, like you said, that's just a check. And yes, I like to check things off as an achiever, but I have a lot of influencing things, and I have to have the people piece.
Yeah, and I think that self-assurance has a lot of creativity that you don't get to use if you're just, doing something a bit more mechanical. That's a repetitive type motion. I think self-assurance likes to do stuff that stretches that. You can say imagination or creativity, but creative solutioning, let's say. Okay, so here's the stuff they love to hear. So there's a couple ways to look at this. It's one, if you have a self-assurance person on your team and you're not getting to say this, it's a big why not, right? Are they not on the right stuff? Is it not the right department? Do we need, how do we get them doing all these things that they want to hear that they do awesome? They want to hear, gosh, you're so decisive. People follow you. You're very convincing. You've raised all this money for us. Thank you. And then, just like Mariana is saying, she has to decide as a person, where can she go do these things so that these are the types of things that she's hearing when she operates as her authentic self. The other piece of it is when you're not in the right environment, then you're going to hear some things that you don't want to hear. And it was funny that you said, Mariana, that, you know, people tell you don't care what anybody else thinks, because I have that right on here. You don't seem to care what others think, because that's the perception sometimes, right? Is that you don't care if you never take someone's advice or input, and then, you know, not only not use it, but not give them the affirmation that they were the one who gave it to you. And now, yes, you're going to use it, but, you know, you wouldn't have had that information without them. They, you know, people kind of need that validation and affirmation that they contributed somehow, where sometimes a self-assurance person is moving so fast and forward that they'll just be like, oh, now I'm doing this. Oh, I'm now doing this. Yeah, I got this information. Now I'm doing this. And they don't necessarily give the acknowledgement to the people around them that provided them with what they didn't have just a minute ago to move forward in a different, more impactful direction. Okay. What do they like to be known for? They love to be known for taking those big risks and dealing with those challenges and withstanding all that pressure, and their ability to influence and persuade others to get them to do things. You know, they love the fact that they can increase the confidence of the team, the department, the company, or the people within it. They love being known for the fact that they can get something done, just them. So when they communicate, you know, you're going to hear their presence. You're going to hear their natural influence, their ability to have authority in the conversation. They're very self-controlled. You're going to hear their need for independence, or the fact that they value their independence. They'll usually have some interesting, distinct perspective. I think self-assurance is a very difficult strength to pick up on when you're talking to someone and know for sure that that's what it is. You'll feel a confidence out of them. You won't really know where that's coming from because it's such an internal guide. It's a core internal thing to them. And they're not necessarily walking around talking about, oh, I have this internal compass, you know, that guides me everywhere I go, you know, so you don't really know for sure, but you can kind of just go, something here. It could be command, it could be self-assurance, it could be, you know, strategic. It's kind of like something's guiding them and making them very, very confident compared to other people. And then if we're communicating with them, this one's important for those of us who don't have it, right? We need to let them decide, respect their authority. We definitely don't want to tell them what to think or what to do. We also need to have some confidence in what we're saying. They're going to respect that. We can discuss our opinions or points of views, but we cannot expect to persuade them over to our side. They've got their mind made up. Okay, we definitely don't want to provide too much hand holding and nurturing. Any thoughts or questions? I'll pause here for a minute. Not yet. So if you do have someone with self-assurance that you've just met, you just got to know them and you know they have self-assurance, here's some interesting ice-breaking questions that you can ask them that their brains are going to turn on the minute they get to talk about what they're leading, what they're feeling really confident about. Even just asking them about, how do I have more confidence? That's going to engage their brain because that's what they really care about, is feeling sure and certain and confident.
Brady, I have a question. Obviously, we, when I say self-assured, are intense.
Yes.
And the questions you had back there, I think sometimes, and I have communication as well in my top 5. So I think that also brings in a problem. Like, you don't even have to ask me the question. I will tell you, the answer before you even ask it. So how, as a self-assurance, do I sit back and wait for those questions? Do you know what I mean? And not jump the gun. You know what I mean?
Well,
sometimes we're sharing information that people don't want to hear.
Well, find out if they want to hear it then.
So should I say, do you want my perspective?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because then at least they have to say yes or no. They're always going to say yes. How many people do you know that are going to say no? But if you're not sure if it's welcome or not, you can always just ask. Say, is an alternate perspective welcome here? I have a couple. If you guys want to talk about those, or do we just want to focus on this? You know, you can just ask. By the way, when you have communication, you are an extroverted self-assurance. Self-assurance is actually an introverted strength, to some degree, I guess, but when you have communication, then it becomes very extroverted. But I've met completely introverted self-assurance people too, that deeply listen, even though they have the same feeling of confidence that you have. But yeah, I think Mariana, what you and I are discussing right now is actually more around your communication. You know, it's like your communication just wants to talk and share and give and, you know, provide the input and the decisions and the opinions. And for communication, to be a good communicator, you do have to listen so that you understand if you really are communicating something that your audience is ready to hear and wants to hear and values. Do you have a particular scenario?
I think when you said, you know, I think you threw out ideas and what we have, and I had a coworker and a little bit more introverted, harmony, doesn't like change. And so every time we would think of an idea, we're like, oh, why did you do this? Why did you? They're like, stop. That's way too much for me. I don't need to do anything different. I don't need to. And that's when you start seeing it, because you're like, okay, well, I'm sharing something. I'm thinking she has the same energy.
Right.
She doesn't. And ideally, everybody's at a different place. Plus, she doesn't like change. So that was already a little difficult. Well, what can we do next to make it better? Or what
And
can
aren't you know, you had learner in your top 10. So something also is driving you to kind of like improve or change or continuously like make it better. And some people just don't need that either, or don't want that. They don't have a drive to, you know, do things differently.
I guess it's like I have activator 8, but they say my maximizer, that's 12. They see when I speak to people, say that shows up a lot, even though it's 12.
Mhm.
So I don't
What's
know.
what's your top 6?
My top 6: achiever, communication, arranger, self-assurance, includer, belief.
Yeah, arranger's your process improvement one. It's where you're optimizing efficiencies and making things better. There's always a better way, right? That's the motto of arranger. So that's all. You're just trying to improve things and make them better and make them smoother and streamline them. And you know, you know, other people are like, why would I do all that work to get what result? Yeah, no thanks. So yeah, it's just a difference in intensity levels. I you know, kind of off topic here. I think about when we're, you know, finding good partners to work with, we have to find people at the right energy levels for us to work really well with them. If we have a low energy person that sits down here, and you have a high energy person that kind of sits up here, they're not going to cross paths very often. The closer you get to the middle, sometimes you can get, you know, kind of higher and lower energy people, but they kind of spike and, you know, move past each other. And so they can have some interactions, and then you might get people on the same wavelength, whether that's in the middle or low or high. And that's where people enjoy partnerships the most, is when they find the same sort of energy levels to engage with. So just fun little tidbit. Okay, I don't really have to tell the self-assured people on the call how to sell an influence. They know exactly how to do that. They know that they can use their confidence to instill confidence in the person that they're trying to sell to, as well as, you know, the confidence in the products and the services. And so they have a really easy time in influencing others to come along with them. Now, if we're trying to sell a self-assured person, so if I'm trying to sell Mariana something here on the call, I've really got to think about how I'm going about doing that without making her feel like I'm forcing her to do something she doesn't want to do, because she'll just completely reject that. So I have to feed into her strengths and let her make the decision and show her that I respect, that she is going to be, that she has the authority and that she's going to be making that decision. And then I might feed into how, the product or service helps her do what she's trying to do. It helps her lead, it helps her set direction, it helps her, have a level of influence that she wants to have, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, and again, I probably don't have to tell you how to sell yourself, Mariana, but there are some really nice tips here that, like if you were ever to get into a position where you're interviewing for another role, then this is the checklist that you'll want to go through to just make sure that you've got a lot of examples around these types of things. Okay, so we kind of already talked about how to identify a self-assurance. It's really hard. You're just kind of watching whether or not they have a certain physical presence or even vocal presence. You're trying to gauge how confident they are. And, I mean, you guys, it really is as simple as sometimes going, do you feel confident or not? And, most people are going to say, I really don't feel all that confident, where the self-assured people are like, yeah, like, why wouldn't I feel confident? So, that simple question can get you your answer as well. Some of their keywords are, talking about confidence and independence and setting direction and leading and, dealing with challenges and taking risks, being certain, having autonomy, providing security. Okay, let's go through these. These are the interesting ones, right? So if you are self-assured, you're obviously extremely independent, and because you're right, you may be stubborn at times. So you do have to be open to the feedback of others. And it's not just being open, it's showing that you're open as well, welcoming the feedback from others. I know that it can feel like a waste of time if you've already made your mind up and you're soliciting feedback and you're sitting there tapping your foot going, I just want to move forward. I just want to make this decision. But the thing you have to think about if you're going to work with people, if you're going to be collaborative, is that when you are efficient with people, you are not efficient. Does that make sense? You cannot be efficient with people for the most part. It doesn't go over well unless that other person is just really efficiency driven as well. And then you guys get to be efficient together. That's fun. But if they're not efficiency driven, it's people want you to take the time to understand them. People want you to take the time to hear them. People want to take the time to discuss, and the more efficient you try to be with people, the less efficient you actually are, because they're just going to reject you and what you're saying and your leadership. And it just doesn't end well.
So maybe not for the best for customer relations.
Well, what do you say when you say it? What do you mean?
No, I'm saying like the efficiency part, like when people
Oh,
call,
right.
they're not half the time, they don't want you to fix the problem. They want you to listen to them bitch about the problem for the first.
Yeah, I mean,
10 minutes.
think about it. Everybody wants you to do that. Everybody just wants to vent and be heard. And when they're validated and they're understood and their position is validated, then they're ready to solve the problem.
Right.
Yeah. So obviously, self-assured are not easily persuaded, and at times may not be open to ideas or opinions, which again can hinder the engagement, teamwork, collaboration, unity. So just find the times when you are available to solicit the thoughts and ideas, and also surround yourself with people that actually give you reliable information and facts. That's going to help you want to actually work with and talk to those people, or help, if you're leading a group of people and people are trying to give you feedback and you're just not enjoying it, just help them become more expert in their field so that what they are giving you is worth your time. People obviously may be intimidated by you, right? Your presence, the fact that you can just take risks, how bold you are, how confident you are. So just watch for that, because if someone's kind of starting to shrink and starting to disengage, then that's the moment to just stop, listen, and ask some questions, and provide them with the acknowledgement that what they're providing you is helpful and interesting. Yeah, and then I mean, honestly, like the way that I have felt in the past interacting with self-assurance is when they are proactively trying to help me become more confident in my work and what I have to offer and my relationship with them and my abilities. I gravitate towards them, respect them, listen to them, do what they say. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest win that you all have, is to help others actually feel more confident around you. And if you do that, people are just gonna let you lead. Has anyone on the call experienced, working with a self-assured person and really felt like they were a fantastic collaborator or teammate? I have.
Many times.
Yeah, what did you experience?
I mean, it seems very clear, but it's even though they are self-assured, vast majority of the times they still, I don't know. It's like if the individual that I'm thinking of, if they're not, like if they haven't sold themselves already, then they're listening to figure out how to sell themselves on whatever that is. And that's where they become very collaborative. They'll, like the individual I'm thinking of, he'll sit there when I'm talking about something that they know nothing about. They'll ask a lot of questions until they get to the solution that they want. And then you're not going to change their mind.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, the one that I worked with also had input. So he was, he asked, good questions. He was introverted, so he listened well. He was highly strategic. And what he would always do is just listen and listen and listen. And he was also a maximizer. So maximized introvert does not want to speak unless they have to. But he would wait till the very right moment. He would just pick the exact right time to just say the thing, right? And then the whole meeting room would just go, "Oh, we should do that."
Exactly.
That's amazing, So yeah, the way he presented himself, his thoughts, man, you just wanted him to lead, Okay. So if the rest of us here on the call need to partner with the self-assurance people, we have some things to take into consideration. This is, again, very similar to as we're communicating with them. We have to let them, be the one to make the decision in the end, if we want to engage them effectively. You can see where this could be a problem if you have two self-assured people in the same room, same team, both trying to take the reins, both trying to lead, both trying to make the decisions. I wouldn't encourage putting two self-assured people on the exact same project with the exact same goal together. I feel like that's such a waste. Both people can lead huge initiatives, in two different arenas.
So out of curiosity, if you're working with a self-assured person, and they're stuck in, this is the solution, this is the way to go, this is the next steps, whatever it is, and like, I don't know, you've got the experience, you've got whatever it is, and that this isn't the right way to go, how do you try to get them to accept an alternative?
Yes, no, this is a great question. So if let's say they're talking and they know the thing, you just ask the question, well, how does that solution solve this problem over here? And they're going, well, I didn't think about that. So then their brain automatically turns on and goes, it doesn't. And remember, Mariana just said she's so confident she can say that. She can say, actually, it doesn't. We need to reconsider this. So you need to
keep asking questions.
Well, and you need to ask a very strategic question, right? You need to really hone in on what you see as the problem with their current solution and how it's not going to solve a particular problem. And you got to be able to communicate that problem well. And you need to ask, how does this solution solve this problem? So I'm not saying it in a negative way. right? I'm not saying, your solution doesn't solve this problem, or I'm not
Right.
I'm saying, no, you're certain that you've got it all figured out. Help me understand, how does this solution solve this problem? Because I just don't understand that. And if they, I use curiosity whenever I'm in those situations, because I'm going, well, maybe they do. I give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they have thought through this. And then when they come around, they'll either say, well, this is how I believe it's going to solve it. Do you think differently? Or they'll say, I totally missed that, and let's revamp this. Now, you might not
Right,
want to do that
cool.
in public, depending on their ego.
I was gonna say, fair enough. Yeah.
You might go to them to the side and say, hey, I want to understand, how does this solve this? But again, I'm giving them the reins, right? I'm saying, you're in control, you've got the solution, but I just need to know, how does this solve this over here?
Perfect. Thank you, man.
Yeah. Anybody else have any suggestions of how, Mariana, if you're completely in the wrong and you're, steadfast on it and you really believe it, like, how have you ever been kind of like reined in and pulled back to where you were like, whoa, I was wrong?
I mean, you said, I mean, if we're wrong, we want to be right. So
Yeah.
we know that it's wrong. And so I
Yeah.
don't think that'd be an issue. I think and just in different positions that I've had, I think that intimidation does come across. I think my personality is that way, so that makes it harder. But we do want to hear from you. We do really want to grow.
Yeah.
But if people don't ask the question, like, you're right, I think we might not like you for the first 5 minutes of you asking me, but ideally at the end of it, we're like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
Let's go on, and things like that. So
yeah, and you might even get to a place where that person keeps doing that to you. Respect
you almost respect it so much more and say, hey, I'm so glad that you're questioning me and things like that, because you're happy thinking of something else that I hadn't thought of.
Right, and you might even proactively start to go to them to say,
exactly.
Hey.
I think if you could find someone that'd go in, but a lot of times I think people don't, because they're like, first of all, she's gonna put up a fight, because she has all these answers.
And most people are conflict averse.
They don't want to go in there. But ideally, we do really want the best at the end.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, yes, there's ego in there.
Yeah.
The ego, it gets crushed, but it bounces right back up.
Yeah.
So it doesn't,
right.
It does, you don't like it. Oh, dang, we're wrong or whatever. But ideally, if we're working to make something better, we know that we want to do everything right. But again, it could come across as, she's being stubborn, she doesn't want to. Not that you couldn't be, but I do see that there's less people that question. Or if they do, they come in the wrong, like a little timid kind of like, I don't want to hurt your feelings.
And you're like, don't worry, you won't.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 34.
If you don't like what we're doing, tell me your feedback. And again, listening is something I need to work on to say, okay. But my whole brain is, this is the end result here. And what you're saying doesn't play a role in it right now. So my mind's already, that's also not, because people are going to say,
it's basically gauging relevance of what someone's saying.
Yeah. And I think that's already in our head. But ideally, we do want to be better, and we do want to give the best. And you're right, if you ask a question, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And Jeff, I think sometimes you're going to find somebody that just won't listen. I mean, I don't think that you can always win at that. If somebody's in a position of power and authority and they're just not going to listen no matter what you do. I think what is important for all of us on the call to recognize is that most of the time, when we're giving everyone the benefit of the doubt and we're assuming good intent, which is where we all want to sit to lead, our own positive lives. If we can assume that we all want what's best for the company, for the department, for the teams, for the people around us, then we are the ones that have to go, look, I just got to stand up, even if I don't want to. I have to ask the hard questions. I have to find a way to have the hard conversations, because essentially we want what's best. I think a lot of people want what's best, but they don't persevere to finish getting through to people. It's hard work, and it's challenging, and it's stuff that you have to practice. And a lot of people just give up, throw the towel in, and say, I want what's best, but instead of saying, no, I really, really do want what's best here. So let's push it forward and until we can all come to an agreement and alignment on really what is the best solution. And I think that kind of is what separates, people who start to step into leadership roles versus people who don't, is, the people who care immensely and then persevere and have the grit to really say, no, I'm serious. I really care about this. And I really think we're making a mistake. And I just feel compelled, and I'm willing to have the hard conversations, and I'm willing to, have the conflict if necessary. Then, those are the people that end up leading the way, because they are willing to challenge the status quo of what is being done when it might not be right. I've listed some partnerships here for the self-assured people. You guys can go through these, when you are looking for effective partners for certain aspects. Basically what you'll see is that we frame this in, what these people can do for you to help you make better decisions, right? To help you have a bigger impact and to help you lead more effectively. There's two slides on that. We have a slide here with all the relationship, the wonderful things you self-assured people can bring to your relationships. I mean, you can bring so much confidence. You can bring those unique perspectives. You can actually step in and say, look, I will go make that hard phone call and influence and negotiate, where you don't have to do that. I'll take on that responsibility for us. I'll take the high pressure things, the things that are just hard, because you guys kind of like that stuff and you're challenged by it and it's interesting. It keeps your brain engaged. So you might as well volunteer to do that kind of stuff for your families and your relationships where it's healthy to do that. I love the last bullet here, to really understand that your partner is likely to be more risk averse. So you're going to have to help ease him or her into taking risks with you. Excuse me. But also understand and respect that sometimes your partner simply doesn't even want to take the risks. They're just not going to go there with you. And you just got to understand that that's okay. They're just not going to be, the type of person that necessarily takes high risks with you. But they do need to help you feel like you are you have permission or are allowed to go take the risk that you want to. I mean, you don't ever want to feel suffocated or held back just because, your partner doesn't want to take the risks with you. Great slide on leadership here, how to really effectively impact your teams as a self-assured leader. You can provide that confidence not only to the team members themselves, but across the company. They're going to give the whole company a confidence in your department, which is amazing, so that people around the whole company trust your team and your department as a leader. What else? I think we've talked about most of this. Okay, if you do have self-assurance people on your team, we got to give them the rope to take risks, to take on some challenges, to lead the new initiatives. We got to ask them, what they think, what their opinions are, and if they'll make some decisions for us. We can ask them to do some of the selling, negotiating, and influencing. We can ask them how they think what we could do to help others feel more confident on the team, to help the team feel more confident, to increase that confidence around the company. These are things that just come really naturally to them. They have the sight for these things. They definitely don't need you to micromanage them. They're highly independent. They don't need any checking up on. You will probably, as a manager of this type of person, have to discuss how you are going to communicate, how you are going to share information, because they really will just take on something and go without needing your input or feedback, which should feel pretty good actually as a leader. You just don't have to do that function anymore if they're just going to take it on. But there does have to be some level of collaboration and communication that you have to establish. They actually learn when they're in it, when they're leading, when they're taking the risks, when they're under the pressure, when they're dealing with challenges. This is how they learn the best. If they're not getting to do these things, their learner might be off. As a coach, it's my job to help them identify the opportunities that allow them to be them, their authentic self, that allows them to take the risks they want to take, to be a part of the new adventures, like for a startup, for example, to be a part of that, to give them any tools that might not only improve their own confidence, but help them improve the confidence of others, because they have it internally. They might not know how to help others. They might not know what to say, right, to help others have it, since they just have it naturally, but they probably want to help others feel more confident because they respect that. Okay. And then here's a list of action items that you self-assured people can make sure that you are taking throughout the week. Anybody else on the call have an interesting perspective or thought about working with a self-assured person or being a self-assured person? Some interesting interactions. Any questions about how to recognize them, work with them? Do you feel like you guys got a good understanding of this strength today? I asked a self-assured person what books they recommend. He said the Self-Confidence Workbook, and I think he said the Confidence Gap were the two that he recommended. Okay, as always, if you know somebody who needs to take the assessment, you guys know where to send them to the Gallup site. They have a variety of options. They can take it in multiple languages. You guys you can download an app on your phone if you haven't yet, called Access, Gallup Access, so that you have your strengths handy all the time, as well as getting some tips on them. You can also sign up to Strengthology Insights, which is my web app. And you can put your 34 strengths in there to get additional insights. I've also been putting all these recordings up on YouTube under Strengthology Leadership Insights channel. So you're more than welcome to navigate over there to listen to the other recordings on the other strengths anytime. And Gallup also provides a YouTube. They have a lot of material. They've been doing this for so many years. So you can listen to other people with particular strengths to get more insights on your strengths. Everything I do, there's a 10% kickback to Operation Underground Railroad, who helps the children who have been human trafficked all around the world. They have this wonderful set of SWAT team professionals and investigators and people that work hard to get those kids out. And then here's my information as well. Okay.
I do have a question.
Yay.
Next week, what's the topic?
What do we want the topic to be next week?
And I should have prefaced that with fantastic session. Thank you so much for making these available for us.
What does one feel compelled or dying to hear about a particular strength?
Did we do adaptability?
We have already done adaptability.
And that recording is posted, I believe, yes.
It's posted on YouTube. Yep.
Deliberative?
What was
Jeff,
that?
which one were you going to
Which ones
say?
have been done?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to ask. I was like, I don't know which ones have been covered because I'm new to this. So
Yeah. All right. So
Someone from your top 5.
How about analytical?
let's see what we've done. Yeah, I heard analytical. I heard deliberative. We've done context, connectedness, relator, learner, communication, arranger, adaptability, ideation, strategic, and woo. So those are the ones that we have so far.
Intellection
Then
or individualization.
Yeah, I don't think we've done individualization yet, have we?
yeah, individualization would be kind of cool. And I think a lot of in our group, Steve, had a lot of empathy, right?
Yeah. We are an empathetic group.
Okay, so I heard two requests for individualization. So we're gonna say that one wins today. So we'll do individualization next week. And then we'll do either deliberative or analytical the following week. Does that sound like a good plan?
Works for me.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, then that's all we have today, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Any other questions before we move on with the day? No? All right, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for
Thank
hosting.
y'all.
Welcome. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.